Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passion World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. And with me today, well, first, before I say who's with me today, it is still June as I am recording this, but this show won't be posted until July. But June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, but we shouldn't need 1 month just dedicated to that cause. We should be aware of our brain health every day. And if any of you out there in the audience is concerned about memory problems, memory concerns, please consult your primary care physician in your area for referrals. It is always better to get checked out for your own peace of mind. And with me today is Nicole, àBeckett. She is founder and CEO of HeroGeneration, along with Dr. Shruti Roy, who couldn't make it today. Dr. Shruti Roy is co-founder and chief medical officer of HeroGeneration. HeroGeneration is a digital platform that provides AI-driven tools, resources, and community support to help caregivers manage their responsibilities and reduce stress. Now, folks, before I bring Nicole on, I'm just going to say this, and this is my opinion. I've talked to many caregivers over the years. What I have seen is that caregivers who lacked a resource when they were caregiving created one after caregiving or maybe during their caregiving journey to help other caregivers. And personally, I would go to someone who was a caregiver, who has experienced caregiving, because they are the best resources in my opinion. So I want to welcome Nicole àBeckett to Chatting with Betsy, who has caregiving experience. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, Betsy. Yes, I do. Yes, I do have caregiving experience. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. If you could tell the audience, Nicole, what was your caregiving experience?
Okay, well, my journey with caregiving really started about 10 years ago. My father was diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer when I was 19, and he battled that for 15 years. And throughout the 15 years, he was pretty stable, was very, relatively healthy despite the cancer. And my mom was his primary caregiver, in the times that he needed more support. So about 10 years ago, my dad, after 15 years decided, hit the chemo, had kind of stopped working, and he was going to forego any further treatment. And so we all, knew what that meant. He was entering into his final phase. And so, I was there. I lived nearby. I was really there to support my mom and help her, towards the end of my father's life. And at the time, I was looking for a platform or a space. My career, my whole background has been in startups and in tech and everything. And so I was looking for a platform that, in the same way that it helps me at work and with everything else in life, could help me at this point in life understand, help me find information, help me manage all of the, my family that wanted to be supportive of my dad. My dad was one of 8, so we had tons and tons of family who wanted to come in and help and be there and do things. And I really didn't find anything that could support me in that time. We were going through, what's the difference between palliative care and hospice care? These people are coming to the house and helping with these different things at different times, and, I need to be there to help my mom schedule and whatever. And there was so much happening fast, quick, that I was looking for something to help me organize and manage all of that, let alone the emotional side of it. My father was essentially dying, and I, mind you, also was 6 months pregnant when he decided that. So all of these things were happening, and I wanted a space that could really help me manage, organize just the stress and complexity that came along with that. I didn't really find anything that suited what I was looking for, and my dad passed in December of 2015. Fast forward a little bit, my mom, who had always dealt with a lung disease called interstitial lung disease, a few years later in 2018, she needed a lot more support. She had lived on her own independently, but it was getting to be too much to handle, and so I moved her into a assisted living place close by. But it suddenly became a lot more, all the doctor's appointments, helping pick up medication, housekeeping stuff that I was really supporting with while also raising 2 young children. And so again, just a few years later, I'm like, okay, well, there has to be something by now to support caregivers. I don't think I knew at that time that I was a caregiver, but I knew that I was doing a lot that I needed to manage. And so I was like, there's got to be something out there. And again, I really didn't find anything to support me. And it wasn't until, so my mom passed in 2021, and I came out of that experience and had the time to look back and focus and just understand the experience that I had just been through over the past, 6-7 years, and really understand, like, oh, wow, I was a caregiver. I didn't even know it at the time. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know I was a caregiver. But I came out of that, and I started doing research about, supporting caregivers. And there is a lot out there, but I didn't see something that, could help with really critical things like managing to-dos, bringing in a team to support, finding resources, finding information, and then connecting with community. I was in my 30s. So I didn't have any friends who were going through that, let alone with both parents. But those people exist out there. So all of that to say, I got out of my caregiving experience, and in early 2024, I really started putting the pieces together of what a platform could look like, and that was the genesis of HeroGeneration. And I was put in touch with Shruti, who's going through caregiving now with herself, and we said, absolutely, there's a gap. We need to do this. Let's work on HeroGeneration.
Wow, that is an incredible story. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mom and dad at such a young age for you.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
You're welcome. My dad passed away in 2012. My mom passed away last year. And even though I'm grown up and they got to see their grandchildren being, grown, you still miss them. And I know you think, well, I wish my parents were here to see my children.
Yes.
And, grieving, that's a whole other show. But you are right, Nicole. There is not, a lot of resources when you were caregiving, not when I was caregiving. And I have to tell you, folks, I just want to tell you this, folks, that I went on HeroGeneration, and I had to fill out the form, but I can't just impress enough how important it is to organize yourself, to have information somewhere where you don't have to go looking for it.
Yes.
Now, you have to forgive me, Nicole. The heat's frying my brain.
That's okay.
My asthma, too. Is there a space, because I don't remember, and I just looked at it yesterday, in HeroGeneration where you put, the living will, your wishes? Is there
absolutely.
There is a spot for that. That's important.
Yes.
That's so important, because that way you don't have to carry it around. You don't have to worry about, okay, you call the ambulance, okay, where's your DNR? Where's your thing to take, your power of attorney to take to the hospital? You have it on your phone.
That's right.
And that's so important. Now, I have a question because I was curious about this. When, okay, say me, okay, because I put my son on there. And can other people have access to that? Can you add family members?
Absolutely. Yeah. So HeroGeneration, I really wanted it to have 3 pillars. And the first one is that collaboration tool. That was so important to Shruti and me because we know as caregivers, people all the time say, what can I do to help? How can I help you? And you can't think of something on the spot when they ask, or you're maybe, don't want to ask. What you really need is like, can you go get me groceries, or can you go pick something up? And, you may be a little bit nervous to ask something so specific. And so what we did on HeroGeneration is a couple things. We created, first of all, what's called the loved one's profile, and that's what you asked earlier. That's where you can keep all the information all in one place. So things like insurance, medications, doctors, location, phone number, et cetera, any allergies, and then of course we have a legal documents space where you can upload all those documents that you just mentioned, Betsy. But in addition to that, we have a team members space where you can invite people to be part of the team. And that can be anybody from your, maybe your spouse, your sibling, a good friend, an uncle, whomever it may be. And we have 2 different levels of access. So for my case, my brother was very helpful and we're very close. And so he would have the same access that I would have to the legal documents, to my mom's, medications, whatever, insurance card, whatever that would be. But somebody like maybe a neighbor or an aunt or an uncle would only get access to the pharmacies. You can choose the different levels of what you want people to see, because we know like the number one thing that people say when we ask them, if you could go back and start your caregiving over again, what would you do? And they always say, bring in people sooner in to be part of the process, be part of the journey. It would make it so much easier, so I'm not doing things all on my own. Because we know, so let's say, I asked my brother, can you take mom to the doctor tomorrow? And he'll say yes, but then I know the next question is, okay, well, where's the doctor? What's their name? What do I tell them? What do I need to do? And then it kind of just becomes more of a burden where you're like, you know what, forget it. I don't want to have to send you all that information. I'll just do it myself. And you keep saying, I'll just do it myself. And then it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You're just doing so much and you're overburdened. So with HeroGeneration, you have all that information in there all in one place, and you can just say to, my brother, yeah, just go, it's in HeroGeneration, just go check it out. You have like a task, maybe it says take mom to the doctor, and within that task, it has the doctor's name, it has the location, all the information, so he doesn't have to do anything except, log in and see that task that's assigned to him. And when you assign tasks, it notifies people that they've been assigned a task, or they've been assigned, something, or a note has been, sent to them. So we're trying to integrate as much as possible all of these, all of the features of HeroGeneration into people's existing, the things that they use every day, like their phones, SMS, email, et cetera, to make it as easy as possible to coordinate that with the team. So, yeah, I mean, that collaboration piece was probably the number one, feature or that we wanted to create on HeroGeneration.
That is phenomenal, because I sound like a broken record, folks. Those of you who know what records were back in the day.
Yeah.
It is so important to have the information at your fingertips. And what would happen, say, Nicole, if you were away on vacation, right? Or someone's away on vacation and their loved one, mother, father, whoever it is, spouse, gets sick, and then people don't have that information. They just don't have it.
Exactly.
That's really food for thought, because now that you mentioned it, I should probably put my brother on there. I don't have anyone close. Well, my brother's 3 hours away, but at least there would be something.
Yes.
Actually, I should add myself to. I should add myself to the HeroGeneration.
Same. I've put my kids on it. My kids, they have their immunization records, and every camp, this is summertime. I've signed them up for camps, and every camp asks for the immunization records. And so previously I was always going back and like, wait, where's the health system? What is my login for that again? What, go through the process. Is that where I have to get it, or did I download it? I forget where I put it. Now I have it all in. It's as simple as just having, having the record just saved there. That all the health info is just going to be right there. And then my husband knows where it is. People, it's just, I was very blessed. My dad was probably one of the most organized men on the planet. And he prepared things, especially with his health, because he had been dealing with it for so long. He had prepared things so well for so long. He was using Google Docs right when it came out just so he could update his medications all the time because it was constantly changing. So I took a lot of what he did, which made our lives so much easier when we were going through, really the toughest moments in the end. And I'm so grateful for that. And I know that it made our lives easier. And I just want to, if I can pass that on to other people and just make it as easy as possible. Not everybody can have a Dave Wadacki in their life, So if I can make HeroGeneration be that piece that makes it easier, just like you said, it just takes away the craziness and allows you to focus in on what really matters, and that's that. That relationship, those moments, those times with your loved one, rather than the stress of having to call the insurance company and you can't find the insurance card. What was it again? And, all that other stuff.
Oh, that is so true, Nicole. I have to tell you and the audience a funny story. And this is why HeroGeneration is really important, but that wasn't available way back when. My son went to work with his dad one time. This is way before Matt had dementia. And Josh fell. He ran. It was icy. He fell, and he fractured his elbow. He was complaining of pain, so I said to my husband, Matt, I said, take Josh to the hospital. I had to go. He didn't even know who Joshua's pediatrician was.
Yes.
He gave him the name of my doctor.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So, it's kind of funny, but, they need the real doctor.
Yes.
And if this was available back then, it would have helped. I mean, how many times do you go to a doctor or you're in an emergency room? Just say if you, God forbid, get sick and you go to an emergency room, what medications are they on or are you on?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, and
your mind goes blank.
It's interesting because we, of course, Shruti and I, because we're dealing with it with our aging parents, that was our initial, that's the use case. But it's been amazing to see how so many different uses, and one that came out the other day was for college students. So, your kids go away to college for the very first time. They leave the house. They, some might be very well informed on who their doctors are and their insurance, but others not so much. And so, like you just said, God forbid something happens, they have to go to an emergency room. Do they know what their insurance is? Do they know, if they're on any medications, do they have all that info? And I think this can give parents more peace of mind knowing that they can, their kids can access this if they need to in an emergency. So there's just so much value and peace of mind that comes from knowing all of that information is in one place. And we hope that HeroGeneration can really provide that to people.
Oh, absolutely. I would say all the time, make sure you know where your papers are, but now you don't have to know where they are. You can load it up on HeroGeneration. Many years ago, my neighbor, her husband had advanced Alzheimer's. She had to call the squad, and I said, Edna, do you have your POA? And she said, oh, I need that. And I said, yes. Because when, you call 911, your loved one's in a crisis, you can't think. You just can't. You can't think straight. And this is so important. And Nicole, I mean, the younger generation, I'm middle age. I'm 67, so I'm not tech savvy. But even I could do HeroGeneration.
Yes. I often thought about my mom. My mom was on Facebook, and she loved. I was like, okay, I need to make it for my mom, who, like, if she could do Facebook, she should be able to do HeroGeneration. And it's really, like, we've tried to make it as simple as possible, just inputting information, and it's, again, just to give you that peace of mind. It takes a little bit to get the info in there. I'm not, I wish we could do it where it was like magical and all your info could magically appear. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. I feel like we could get there the way things are moving with technology these days. But for the time being, it does take, a couple minutes to get the info in there. But once you've got it in there, just the peace of mind of knowing where it is, it just really opens up, just relieves so much more stress than you can even imagine.
Yes, and caregivers, as we all know, who have been caregivers or who are caregivers, let's relieve some of the stress that we can. And Nicole, when you mentioned that you didn't think of yourself as a caregiver, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't think of myself as a caregiver with my mother-in-law, first with my son, who has a cognitive disability. And then even now, I forget I'm a caregiver. Someone says, Betsy, you're still a caregiver. And I forget, because it's a different kind of caregiving. It's not the same as someone with dementia. But still, I'm still a caregiver. I still have to manage everything for Josh. Thankfully, there isn't, much to manage. And with the younger generation, because I just want to tell you, if you think, oh, no, that's not going to happen to me, I won't be a caregiver, my children will not be caregivers, guess again. My son was a caregiver at 16 for his grandma he helped, 26 for his dad. The younger generation, the millennials or whatever they're called after that, I forget, they will be caregivers.
Yes,
they will be.
Absolutely.
And they're great at technology. I can't type with two thumbs. I do one index finger, one digit at a time, Nicole.
Whatever gets it done.
Right. I'm amazed when I see people with their two thumbs doing that. My brain can't work that way. I tip my hat off to those who can, but I can't. But it's just so important because people think, oh, well, I'm only 18 or 20 or whatever age. I have plenty of time before my parents need a caregiver.
Yes.
Let me tell you, things happen in a second. Your life can change. Yeah. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. My dad, when my dad was first diagnosed when I was 19, they only gave him 6 months to live. And so, in that moment, that's what we were preparing for. And so it can happen at any time, really.
That, yes, that's true. We were shocked that my husband Matt was diagnosed at the age of 56, but he started showing signs before. I didn't even know that you could get Alzheimer's at a young age at that time, 15 years ago.
Right.
I had no idea. And it's so helpful. And I have to say something else, too, because when you go to a doctor, they always ask, what medications are you on, or bring your medications with you. You have HeroGeneration. You don't have to bring your medications with you. It's right on there.
That's right. Yeah.
And your insurance. In case you forget, although they might want a copy of the card itself.
You can email it to them because it's right there. You can download it and email it to them. So,
say I'm not tech savvy. That's a good point, Nicole.
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's having everything digitized. It just makes life so much easier.
It does. Folks, believe me when I tell you, and I've unfortunately have had the experience of being a caregiver twice with someone with Alzheimer's, that when you are so stressed out and you're overtired, you can't think straight. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
And you know what you might know when you're not stressed. When you're stressed, your mind goes blank. I know mine does. I'll speak for myself. My mind goes blank. I think it's so awesome that, I think it's awesome how people, not that they had a tragedy, because no one should have a tragedy, but how they had some, like a unfortunate tragedy, like you, Nicole. You lost your dad, you were young, you lost your mom, and you took your caregiving experience, your passion, and Dr. Shruti Roy also, in creating HeroGeneration to help other caregivers. That's what I call from going from tragedy to triumph, from being, some people might, say a victimhood to victorious, and helping other people. That, I tip my hat off to you and Dr. Shruti Roy, because caregivers need to have this information. They need to have these resources, and one reason for chatting with Betsy is to provide people with resources that I wish I knew about, or that I wish were available to me when I was caregiving, to make my life easier. So that is just so awesome. And how can people go on to HeroGeneration?
Sure. So we're not an app, so you don't have to download anything. You just go to herogen.co, so HeroGen.co, and you just click the button to get started, and it'll lead you through a series of questions and put you into the platform, and you can start filling out information there. It's totally free to get started, no credit card required or anything, and the loved one's profiles, maintaining that information is totally free forever. The only thing, that we start to charge for is if you want to start doing like to-do lists and assigning them to team members. One thing I also didn't mention is that we have resources as part of the platform as well, because exactly like you said, Betsy, you didn't know you were a caregiver. And so the fact that you don't even know that you're a caregiver, there's so much that you don't know that you don't know. And so we have a resources page, again, totally free, open to everybody, that people can go on. We've tried to cover so many different conditions, from Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, various cancers, lung disease, mobility issues, et cetera, mental health disabilities. So anyway, we have caregiver guides for that, and it's really tailored towards the caregiver. So it'll give you sort of a high-level plan of what you can do, some questions to ask. It'll give you a caregiver's perspective, a journey, so a story of a caregiver in a similar situation. It will put you in their shoes so you can kind of understand what your loved one may be going through, and of course give you tips and things, a place where you can start. Because again, when you don't know what you don't know, you don't even know what questions to ask, et cetera. And so we've really tailored everything for the caregiver. We have a digital caregiving assistant called Ask Andrea, and so she's named after my mom, Andrea. But you can go in, she's powered by AI, but we've really, really, developed her and wrapped her in empathy for the caregiver. So if you go in, you can ask any question tailored to your situation. So you may say, my mom was just diagnosed with a lung disease and she's in Los Angeles. What resources are available? And they'll give you some local organizations, or you may be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'll give you organizations there or resources. But you can have a conversation with her, and you can ask, maybe my mom is just diagnosed with dementia. I don't even know where to begin. And she'll say, do you have your legal documents in order? Have you thought about reaching out to this organization? Here are some things you can do. And it's by no means replacing, healthcare professionals or anything like that, but it's a great starting point and gives people an outlet any time of day. Those 3 a.m., even nights when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're just stressed about, are there any vitamins or are there any other things I can be doing? You can just ask Andrea at that time, and she'll always give you an empathetic answer, just saying, you're doing a good job. This is a challenging time. I understand. Ask me any questions you would like. So I really wanted to mention that as well, that the resources, of course, just was a really big piece for us as well. In addition, we have community events. So connecting with other caregivers is so important because you just learn so much and you feel that you're not so alone in the journey. So we've got events, virtual events for all across, in different geographies and for different conditions, et cetera, that people can go and search through on our page just to join. And so at HeroGen.co, we've got all kinds of things for people who are going through the caregiving journey to just get started. Just take a look. Again, you can start for free. There's absolutely no payment necessary up front. If you want to continue with some of the paid features, the subscription is $17.99 a month. So we've tried to make it pretty affordable. But, we just welcome so many people to get started. Join the community. There's just so much value in connecting with other people who understand what you're going through as you go through the journey, and we really hope HeroGeneration is that place.
I'm getting goosebumps here in New Jersey, where it's so hot. By what you just said, Nicole,
Thank you.
It is so true. I'm almost teary-eyed because I didn't have support for years. And I went on Facebook in 2014, and I found support, and I found I wasn't alone. Yes, joining with other caregivers, I learned from other caregivers, Nicole.
So much,
and
absolutely.
Yes, so much, because when my mother-in-law was diagnosed in 2000, you're talking 25 years ago, there wasn't the information. There was zilch, and really not much support. And even, I didn't have a smartphone back then in 2010. I didn't know if they had smartphones in 2010, 15 years ago. Not like it is today. They had cell phones, and not like it is today. But didn't have the information. The doctors didn't even know about early onset Alzheimer's. And just to know that you are not alone, which is why I created my support group, #Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement, so that people know they're not alone and don't have to walk through this journey alone. Excuse me. And here you and Dr. Shruti come along with HeroGeneration. That is a fantastic tool for caregivers. And you don't even have to be a caregiver, do you, Nicole? Like if someone just wants to go on there, put their information on, just to have it for emergencies. So that's, folks, this is really what you call a no-brainer, especially if you live alone. If you live alone, you need this. You need HeroGeneration. And to know, they could go on and resources. Let me tell you something. People don't know the resources in their own backyard. I know I didn't. I did not. You don't know it until you need it. And that's one of the many blessings of me doing a show, is that I meet so many wonderful people like you, Nicole, who are helping others, that are expert. Oh, thank you. A resource for people, and that's the purpose of Chatting with Betsy, I want to help people. You want to help people. And it's just, folks, let me tell you, you need support. And you need to know resources, because the first thing when a doctor gives you a diagnosis, you're like, what? Where do I go? What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people ask. Matter of fact, my son's doctor was diagnosed with Parkinson's. She asked me if Matt had it because he looked like he had Parkinson's, but he didn't. And I told her about resources. She didn't know about them, and she's a medical doctor. She didn't know.
Well, that's what Shruti often says, that she, so her father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and then like about a week later, her mother fell and broke her hip, and, her mom deals with an autoimmune disease, and so her mom was being discharged from the hospital. And Shruti said she just wasn't ready. She didn't know that was happening. She wasn't prepared. And she always tells the story of she went into the bathroom at the hospital and just cried because she wasn't prepared. And she immediately thought, I am a healthcare professional. I am a doctor. I am trained for this. If I'm feeling this overwhelmed and unprepared, I can't imagine somebody without a medical background, how they must feel. And it really, that was part of the impetus to be part of HeroGeneration. And so, we really hope, it's our mission that HeroGeneration is offered as a resource in every single doctor's office, hospital, especially at the point where you're coming out of a acute situation where somebody was hospitalized or just diagnosed, that, they're saying to the caregiver, I know this is a lot. Here's a resource, something to help you. So immediately they feel like they have an outlet, a place to learn or connect or just get organized with all of, the change in life that's about to happen, the transition. So, that's part of our mission with this as well, because, for me, going through, and I'm sure you experience this too, Betsy, going through it, especially with my mom, I was at every single doctor's appointment with her, every single, hospital stay. I was there every day. And not once did anybody ever turn to me and say, do you need support? Are you okay? Mm-hmm. And I know that, and I didn't expect it. The healthcare system is so overwhelmed. My parents got phenomenal health care. I'm so grateful for it. But if we can offer this as one more step, I think I hope, again, it's our mission where I understand the challenges. It's not all easy, but I really hope that HeroGeneration can be that companion piece to the phenomenal health care that the patient receives. We are the phenomenal platform that the caregiver receives as well. So that's really our goal and our mission with all of this.
Well, that is a wonderful and beautiful goal and mission, and thank you for creating HeroGeneration. I was at a loss. I didn't know what Alzheimer's was 25 years ago, and I worked as a nurse. I didn't hear about it in the 70s. Back in the Stone Age, as I call it. Wow. I didn't know that you could get Alzheimer's or any dementia young. Mm-hmm. Apparently the doctors didn't know either. And, there's information's changing all the time. And even I go for physical therapy, and I was talking to the physical therapist, and her dad has Alzheimer's. And I said, have you heard of CUPSA that we have here in my area? She said, no. I said, I gave her the number. I said, here's the number. They have a support group. And she said, oh, thanks. Now, she's in the field. Yeah. She's actually in the same town that this place is in and didn't know about it. So it's so important, folks, no matter where you are in this world, to have a support, to have a device that provide with resources that you can have information on. It is so important. And I'm really going to consider when I have the time to put myself on there. Because God forbid something happens to me, Josh doesn't know. My brother doesn't know. Anything.
Yeah.
So that is very, very important. I just can't thank you enough, Nicole. I do have a question. Excuse me. When you get the Hero Generation, each time someone has to go in, do they go in through the herogeneration.co since it's not an app?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, herogen.co.
Okay.
Yep. You just go to, once you've signed up, you just hit login, go through the process, and it's simple, just like that.
Well, that is wonderful. And how can people get in touch with you, Nicole àBeckett?
Yes, please just email me. It's just Nicole, Nicole, at herogen.co. I'd love feedback for anybody who's using it or has tried it, positive, negative. We're taking it all in. We're still building, growing, and all feedback is good feedback for us. So feel free to email me, Nicole at herogen.co. We're also, of course, on Instagram and LinkedIn and all the, social media platforms. You can message us there. Shruti and I are very, close to everybody who's messaging through that in the team, and you'll always get one of us to chat with and talk to, and we're happy to answer every and all question that anybody may have.
Well, I thank you for connecting with me, Nicole. And
thank you, Betsy. Thank you for creating the platform too. I mean, I think it's everybody, putting their energy into supporting caregivers. It's just really creating such a groundswell and that we didn't see even, 5 years ago. So I'm grateful to you for your platform as well.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And I have to tell you, folks, Nicole is very sweet. And when people are sweet, I know they're really nice people, because when I tried recording, last month, my phone wasn't working, and Nicole was nice enough to come back and do the show again. So appreciate your patience, Nicole, and your kindness. And folks,
do it again, Betsy. I do it all over again, too.
Oh, thank you. Folks, I'm so passionate about resources for caregivers. Yes, I interview people from all walks of life, but caregivers and caregiving was my heart. That is why I started Chatting with Betsy. This is how Chatting with Betsy came about, is because of my advocacy. And I went in my car and talked about caregiving. And, of course, that had to do with my husband, Matt. So I want to thank you, Nicole àBeckett, again, for coming on. Thank Dr. Shruti Roy for me for also creating Hero Generation. And, folks, I would jump right on. When you hear the show, I would jump right on herogeneration.co to look at it, try it out. I'm trying it out. And you'll see how beneficial it is. It's very important. And I just want to thank you again, Nicole. Thank you, everyone, for listening, subscribing to Chatting with Betsy. If you don't already subscribe, please do. It's for free. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart. I don't know if I already said that. And tell your friends about the show. This is an important resource, very, very important. And really, it should be, your children should be on there. As Nicole said, college-age children, adults, they're young adults, not children, young adults, they could use Hero Generation. And I want to thank Jeannie White, who's the station manager. She writes the blog, and all the information about Nicole àBeckett and the Hero Generation will be in the blog. And Jeannie also produces the show. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's CEO of Pastoral Talk Radio Network, who makes this all possible. If you want to follow me, I am on Facebook, Betsy Wurzel, Wurzel. If you need a support group, at hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. And as I always say at the end of my show, excuse me, I got a cough again. In a world where you can be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright, because we need it now more than ever before. And that's all I have to say today, folks. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate Rural Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Chat with you soon. Bye-bye now.